Welcome back, everyone. My name is Alex. I am the founder and CEO of Redpanda. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. I know for some of you it's early on Thursday, it's 9 a.m. Pacific time. As is our tradition, this event is jam-packed with short, to the point, roughly 5-minute sections. We're going to be joined today by partners and, of course, the start of the show today, Ash, the founder of Benthos, now leading Redpanda Connect team at Redpanda. So for those of us that have been heads down building and haven't heard the news, Redpanda acquired Benthos. It is a famously popular stream processing framework and is joining the Redpanda product family as Redpanda Connect. That's what today's launch stream is going to be about. Redpanda Connect brings about, I think, the largest connectivity framework in the Kafka ecosystem. And so whether you're connecting Redis and a Snowflake or Redpanda to MongoDB, Redpanda Connect just allows you to wire just anything to everything. This acquisition brings about roughly 225 connectors with 0 external dependencies into a single binary. This is obviously the work that Ash has been doing over the last 7 years. And so you can feed the source and destination wherever you want your data to go, and that's it. Today we're gonna have some demos of Redpanda Connect, so let's pray to the demo gods that everything goes well. Ash and I have known each other for about 5 years, and I'm extremely happy to finally be able to partner to make a stream more accessible to the world. And believe me, it wasn't for lack of trying. Over the last 5 years, we've had like the way we came about and the way we decided to partner is that our customers, both Benthos customers and Redpanda customers, were already using both products together in production for multiple years. And so whether you are the largest ISP in Europe or some of the largest social media companies, the largest hedge funds in the world, pushing 50 gigabit per second, consuming the closing of the New York Stock Exchange over 25 gigabit per second NICs, all the way down to IoT and monitoring pipelines for the largest wind turbine companies in the world using like 100 millicores. And for those of us that aren't in container wars, that's just like a fraction of a CPU. Said another way, once our users showed us like what these two technologies could do for them as a user, which was you can couple together just a couple of lines of configuration, and now you would have reliable, scalable, performant pipelines. When I called my mom when the acquisition went through, she's like, "I never thought you would be this excited about shipping reliable pipes on the internet." I think she was right. Really jazzed to show it to you, to have Ash join us, and then so that you get to see what is the impact for some of our customers that are using this in production. As some of you may know, the hero of the Redpanda story has always been the hands-on keyboard builder and doer. And Redpanda Connect's motto was to make stream processing operationally mundane. And boring is exciting when it comes to reliable pipelines. I'm excited to see what you get to build with it. Today, we're going to be joined by Ash, followed by an interactive demo from some of my favorite people. Christina, James, and Dave Utila will be driving the demo. We're also going to be joined today by partners from Snowflake, Zafin, and ShareChat as customers, as well as Trace3, some of our partners from Trace3. And then we're going to wrap up with the 10-minute AMA chat, all under an hour. So let's hope everything goes smooth today. It's my job to keep us all in sync. So welcome today. Thank you for joining us this morning. And without further ado, I'd love to welcome Ash onto the stage. Ash, welcome.
Hello. Thank you, Alex. Hey, everyone. I can confirm that I am Ash. So I've been running the Benthos project for almost a decade now. And in that time, I think it's fair to say that we've had a very high level of ambition, sometimes scary. The biggest upgrade to us as a project, as we're now becoming Redpanda Connect, is going to be our capacity to actually deliver on that ambition. So everything that we've been able to do before is basically getting leveled up now. So we're going to have more ability to look after users. We're going to have the ability to actually properly manage a roadmap. We're going to be more capable of maintaining a secure code base. And of course, we are deliciously going to be building lots of yummy new features. We already had a great plugin API. In fact, a lot of our users were already moving their own business logic and applications into Benthos plugins and basically using it as a framework. But what's new is going to be our ability to actually build the official suite of connectors. So we're just going to have a lot more capacity, and it's not just a capacity thing. It's also an expertise thing. So now that we're a larger operation, we're just going to have a lot more access to experience and ideas in this field that we just didn't really have before. That's going to mean lots of things, but one example is we're going to be able to do lots of cool stuff with AI now. So for example, we're going to be targeting some of the largest AI models very, very soon. And that's not really because the engine was limited. We always had the capability to build out those technologies, but we just didn't really have the expertise. Like I said, our ambitions are vast. So that's not the only thing we're going to be doing. We're also going to be doing lots of observability stuff. So we're adding more observability options already that kind of lean into the Redpanda platform. We're also going to be doing stuff like building out a better user experience around deploying and managing your configs. So that's something that we haven't really touched on before as a project. We just sort of left that up to users to figure out. And we're going to have a lot more config exploration tools. So one thing that is already there, we had this ready on the date of the announcement, but Redpanda console can already give you autocomplete in your Redpanda Connect configs. And that's just something that we've never had before, frankly. So we're going to be expanding all of that stuff, lots of things to come. If you're an existing user, so you've already been part of the Benthos ecosystem, you'll probably be wondering about Benthos Studio. That is just going to sit as it is for now, but we're going to be bringing all of that stuff into the Redpanda platform. And the idea is we're going to bring it in and then expand it so that the best place to do all of your config editing and also analyzing deployments that you've made, it's all going to be in its best form in the Redpanda platform. So the idea is to bring all of that into serverless. So stay tuned for that. I'm going to be around. I'm not going anywhere, so please ask questions in the chat or reach out by other means. Come find me, find my address. My phone number is open, but I will be here to answer questions. Thank you for having me on the stream.
Thank you, Ash. Some of the coolest things that I saw when we were connecting for Benthos Studio that I think some people are sort of, that was like one of the most popular asks when we finally decided to combine forces was like, hey, like, what is this like lineage and interactivity, right? Like, I think what is powerful when engineers join a particular platform is you're like, I have no idea what connects to what, right? And so with Benthos and now Redpanda Connect, you're able to see like all declaratively in a single pipeline. But what's really neat about what you've built with Benthos Studio that is eventually going to come to our cloud is like, okay, debugging is actually pretty challenging, right? So the idea that you could right-click on a particular subset of the pipeline and then get the logs and sort of actually inspect for 30 seconds. So maybe you can share with the audience, what's your thought and design and intuition for helping people get Redpanda Connect pipelines or Benthos pipelines in production? Like, why does that service exist? But what's the, I don't know, demand? What are some of like the debugging tools, like just to be able to get this into prod?
So the user experience before you've deployed something is going to be around being able to see test data and see what it would do in your config. And obviously, as configs become more and more complex, your pipelines become more complex, you want to be able to see how data transforms as it's moving through that topology. But then once you've deployed stuff, there's all kinds of goodies that we can essentially add in there. So what we've got right now in Studio is the ability to see data as it's actually flowing through your real pipeline, exactly as it exists at every stage of the pipeline. And because it's a visual UI, you can essentially click on the things that you're interested in. So if there's parts of that topology that you're not quite sure of, You can click on it and you can see exactly what events are doing as they flow through. And if something's going really bad, then you can even see that the way that things are flowing in its entirety is just not what you're expecting. But really the key things for users, above the traditional stuff like logs and metrics, and maybe even distributed tracing, that sort of stuff, is the ability to really just dig into exactly what a message is doing at any given point, and then maybe make modifications live in staging environments, for example, where you can sort of diagnose things with live actual data. And really, that's the kind of thing that you can only actually do with a sort of visual interface that lets you actually, dig into that sort of stuff. And then once you've established that, you can start doing cooler things like audits and modifying swim lanes and things dynamically and stuff like that in the UI to come.
Yeah. I think Shubham from ShareChat, you're basically describing his wish list. When we were talking and interviewing customers, I was like, what is your wish list? What do what do you want? And like literally it was like almost exact word for word, almost exactly what you said. It's like, I need to test data. We're gonna ask him in a few seconds when we bring him to stage. But it's really hard because right now the way people do debug these pipelines is you like insert fake data in your YAML config and you're like, okay, this is my test generation thing. But when you're in prod and you're consuming from a banking API or a, whatever, right? Like gnarly large enterprises. So let's take the largest ISP in Europe as an example. They get batch file uploads, they get some XML stuff, they get a bunch of things and they need to consume it. And it's really not that convenient to have like a bunch of binary test data inside your source repo. It blows it up, then Git doesn't even know how to deal with large binary files and so on. And so like that ability to mix and match, to bring in data from a bunch of places, which is the strength of Benthos, I think, in my opinion, and Redpanda Connect. It's like, hey, let me merge, let me make. I think people haven't like, if you haven't been able to monitor this in at scale, making pipelines reliable is actually pretty challenging. You need to think about message delivery. You need to think about transactionality. You need to think about back pressure and a bunch of things that kind of come built in. Perhaps as a closing thought before we move to the next section, Ash, tell us a little bit more about some of the users that are extending the core engine that we kept MIT on the source license that like has all the intelligence. Why would anyone use that project? Why is that useful? Why is that helpful? Why do we have hundreds of customers using that in production?
So the main problems that you've got to solve when you're in a sort of stream processing environment are there's like a trio of back pressure, delivery guarantees, and the aspect of scaling, both in terms of like horizontal, vertical, and then also max and flights and things like that, and batching processes. So like all of those things end up baking huge amounts of complexity into your stream pipeline to the point where you'll probably make significant sacrifices. And the major strength of the Benthos project has always been that all of those things are essentially solved together as one big package, because it ends up being kind of like you'll solve one of those and then you'll end up undoing the other ones, and it's like whack-a-mole with streaming issues. So we've kind of always kept this mindset of we're always going to solve them all at the same time. What that then translates to for people who are building their own custom logic for stream processing, if you've got a piece of business logic, some application that is doing fairly straightforward, maybe even just single message transforms on that streaming data, you're in a world where, depending on what you're using, if you're not using a framework, you basically have to solve all that stuff from scratch, issues that you're probably not even going to realize exist until you've hit them in production. Whereas if you're able to bake that into a framework that's already solved all those problems, then you've often got the issue that the framework will limit you in all these various ways. But what we've managed to do is find this balance where the plugin APIs don't really restrict your ability to build clean applications that run efficiently, behave well in production, have metrics and observability data, all of that stuff, which means you can just write a plugin for Redpanda Connect, and then you're essentially executing Redpanda Connect with your custom logic inside, And it has then solved all of those problems for you. So things like dead letter queuing, back pressure, delivery guarantees, restarts, because the whole thing is designed as well for statelessness. So your ability to access external services that solve the state for you, your plugins can utilize all that stuff as well. So any caches that you might be able to configure within Redpanda Connect, you can access those in your plugins. So I think basically it's not something that we've ever used to advertise as like, hey, you should do this. People just kind of discover it themselves as they're using this tool for something. Initially, they'll be using it for some use case, and then they'll realize, hey, we can write a plugin, and then they'll realize, hey, hang on a minute, that runs a lot better than our thing. Why don't we just move all of our thing into that Redpanda Connect instance?
Well, it helps. It helps that we've been like running this in production at really large scale for like 7 years plus. And so I think by the time people use it, it's like, actually, it's pretty reliable and it's pretty performant.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it's been running for a while. Thank you, Ash. So there you go. If you're writing a Go application, like check out the Benthos core engine. It solves some pretty gnarly problems for you. And then we're obviously committed to making that's like the core engine of how Redpanda Connect works. So like we're pretty much dependent on it forever. Thank you, Ash, so much for joining us today. With that, I'd like to welcome Brad Culberson, who is the technical director of a Snowcat at Snowflake. Welcome, Brad. It's great to have you here. I know that's something that we both have in common is just like this, I don't know, maybe maniacal obsession, this could be a word, on like the developer experience. We just came out of the Snowflake Summit, and I saw actually post, I was chatting with customers on the floor, this 800 megabyte per second workload into Snowflake. Call me biased, but I love that it was using Redpanda. Tell me why you chose Redpanda there.
Yeah, I think when we were going into that session, we really wanted to be able to like show off how far customers could push Snowflake, right? And we have a lot of customers reach out saying, hey, we have streaming use cases, we have a lot of data. And so we wanted to show off what our largest customers are doing on Snowflake. When we started looking through the criteria for like what we were going to do for the demo, we needed massive throughput. So as you mentioned, our goal for during the session was to get well over 15 terabytes uncompressed through the system. Compressed, that ended up being several terabytes. So we wanted to like basically blow people's minds of like, hey, this probably covers 99.99% of every use case we've seen. And this just works. So we wanted that as part of the criteria. All engineers are pretty lazy, so we wanted something that was very quick, very easy, and we could know we would be successful while we were trying to build the demo out. And we've used Redpanda for quite a few years in all of our demos, just because all the documentation is so good. Every time we go out and we like run something inside of Docker Compose and we borrow some of your code from some of your documentation, it just works. In this use case, we knew we were going to have to deploy into Kubernetes. We had not used your Helm charts before. So we were going in, we were testing a few other platforms, and we were having difficulties getting it to auto scale. As part of a demo, you really don't want to have the infrastructure running for days or weeks in advance. You want to be able to just trust that morning you can kick up 100 instances and have this working. So we got comfortable enough while using Redpanda, before Summit, that we were very easily able to spin up the Helm charts, get these systems scaled up massively, shove a ton of data through it, destroy it, tear it down, do it again over and over again, which has built our confidence, right? That this was actually going to work on the demo day, to make sure we didn't look bad in front of a large audience that said, hey,
yeah, it's like right on the stage on like the most important part. It's like you don't want it to crash.
Yeah, that doesn't look easy when it's failing on demo. So I think it was very successful. I think the things that I really value is the developer experience you've been able to offer. I think all the documentation is good. I mentioned Docker Compose just works. Very, very few things in documentation that exists in the world just works. The Helm charts just work. We were able to auto scale very, very easily. And then also just for economics of scale, not only were we able to easily develop for like engineering time, but also like the economics of like the brokers and how efficient your brokers are. It's best in class. So we're running way fewer brokers in our demos, pushing the same throughput as we would with other competing technologies.
Thank you so much for sharing. It was kind of a proud moment for me when I saw you doing that. I was like, yes, it's awesome, especially when like, the data volumes that you use. And I tend to agree, to be honest. I think that like when you're building reliable pipelines, you just kind of want the infrastructure to work. I mean, in many ways, for the kind of technologies that you and I get to work on, you just want to be this thing that people don't think about, right? It's just like, hey,
Yep.
it's kind of there. It works. I don't need to really babysit it. It's just sort of in the background. So thank you so much for joining us and for sharing that. I'm a big fan of all of your work. So thank you. With that, I wanted to welcome some of my favorite people, Christina, James, and Dave Rutila. They're gonna walk us through a demo. So speaking of demos that Brad just said, fingers crossed, this all works. Let us know in the chat if you want to see it if you want to see a crash. No, I kid. Sending good vibes to Christina.
Thank you. Thank you, Alex. Awesome. So for this demo, we're going to do something around AI because all the craziness about AI. So we're going to do something about it. But rather than focusing on the AI itself, we are going to talk about the complexity of data flowing around and how Redpanda Connect or Benthos can help you solve this problem. So we're going to go ahead and then with this demo, we're going to create a smart box, which you can take with you. You can ask questions. You can have intelligent chat with this little box when it will give you the latest and greatest updates of the news. Yeah, this is kind of inspired by the recent new projects that people have been doing, right? So, so this demo is going to be broken down into 3 different sections. That's why you see 3 of us here. So the first part is going to be the edge, and then we've got the batch, and then we also have in the middle where it's going to do a lot of integration with a lot of the Gen AI technology out there, and also turning things into embedding, and also integrating with vector database, also showcasing some of the framework capabilities coming from Redpanda Connect or Benthos. And for the actual part that does all the, the data flow, data movement, we have Redpanda servers as our centralized platform for streaming, just because of the possible, heavy data ingestions that could happen. So without further ado, let's get started with my my part of the demo. All right, let's get it started. Right. Okay. So you can see now that on the left-hand corner, I have there's a lot of windows here, and on the left-hand corner, I've got a microphone that is attached to my Raspberry Pi. And this Raspberry Pi is a very small Raspberry Pi that has very limited hardware devices. And on top of it, I also have a MQTT broker installed on top of it. And with the MQTT server, the broker itself has 2 channels. One channel talks to the speaker, and the other channel actually takes in inputs from the microphone, right? So, and then what happens is now I have to stream these things I've got inputs from MQTT all the way over to the centralized hub. And in the centralized hub, I have, again, the Redpanda service cluster, which is going to take in all the data, all the informations, and all that kind of stuff, right? And then these then gets ingested into a inference application. And this inference application is going to do a quick vector search that goes out to a MongoDB and then gets all the informations back and then send it over to OpenAI, which is going to give us a much more refined answers, right? So to actually have the conversations, I have to actually, when I talk to my microphone, I have to have a way to actually convert it into text. So I install a very small very small AI on top of my Raspberry Pi, and it's actually taking a lot of its resource. And what it does is it takes my speech and kind of cuts it into different segments. And with these segments, and then it gets streamed and then transcribe all the segments into chunk of text. And all these chunk of text gets then streamed over to the serverless part. But before I send it to serverless, I don't want to stream everything over because, it can be a little bit overwhelming if I have hundreds of millions of devices. So I'm going to do a lot of pre-processing. So this is where Redpanda Connect comes in because it's super lightweight. I can do some kind of pre-processing here. I am just buffering for 10 seconds and aggregating everything over. So now I'm going to go ahead and then start talking. What is Redpanda? What is Apple Intelligence? Now it's going to go ahead and then transcribe what I said. Hopefully it picks it up. So this is the device that I'm using. And now I have started my pipeline, which my pipeline is now going to aggregate everything over, and then it's going to send it to my Redpanda serverless. And then now it's actually going into my inference application, which is giving me, I don't know what is Apple Intelligence. And then I'm going to start another pipeline, which is taking the informations back and then taking that back to the speaker. If MQTT says, I don't know. Well, it's I don't know. What's going on? Dave, can you help me out?
Yeah, I think
before that, I'm just kind of going through that. So this is a cluster that I have. So all the information gets in there. So yeah, sorry. I was just kind of showing you that. So here is the, so can you help me out? Because I don't think we have all the information loaded into our vector database.
Yeah, thanks, Christina. Yeah, you've got the classic LLM problem where the model was trained on data that's historical and doesn't know about current information. So with my portion of the demo, I'm going to show you how to basically do the unsexy part of streaming, which is taking batch data and loading it into something like Redpanda. So it's very common that folks will need to take third-party data, could be tarballs that are dropped into an FTP site. You know, maybe your customer uploads something every night, and you need to make it look like a stream to your downstream applications. Using Redpanda Connect, we're able to put this together entirely natively within AWS. I'm going to deploy this thing live using Terraform. And so while this is deploying, I'll walk through what we're going to be looking at today. It takes about 30 to 40 seconds. So we're looking at Redpanda's Benthos Studio at the moment. We really have two different pipelines that are working together. So this is all put together with no code, all running in a serverless fashion using purely Redpanda Connect. So if we look at the outermost pipeline, this is what's natively interfacing with AWS. So it's talking to the Lambda Event API, it's talking to the Secrets Manager Proxy API, and then it's calling out to another copy of Redpanda Connect, which is going to be doing the actual ETL-like transformation. If we take a look at that, we're using an S3 input. It's going to go grab the tarball in our S3 bucket, decompress it, iterate through the files in the tarball, drop some noise. We're then going to start streaming the JSON data out. So in this case, we've got Wikipedia data. So it could be like a nightly dump of like, you know, the latest Wikipedia pages. Take a look and make sure it's deployed. Good. So no issues on the back end. We've got everything wired up in AWS. I've got our bucket deployed. We've got our function deployed, which is good. And the way we're deploying this, we're using a function alias, which should be wired into our bucket via Terraform help. Excellent. So now when we upload a file into our bucket, so I've got a sample file here, just as gzip tarball of new line delimited JSON. Voila, it's about 9 megs, so it should be pretty quick. Now, you know, we're spun down to 0, we're serverless. Lambda function should kick off any moment now. There we go. If we take a look at our CloudWatch logs, we can see that Redpanda Connect is now running, and it should be syncing data into our documents topic. So this is basically how we're taking that batch of new Wikipedia pages, if you will, that will have the context for our LLM, and syncing it into Redpanda. Perfect. Now, if we take a look back at our bucket, the pipeline's also removed the object. We're ready for more data to come in, which is fantastic. So it'll scale back down to 0. This is something that's really hard to do with something like Kafka Connect, and really hard to do with Apache NiFi as well, unless you're getting some commercial add-ons. And you're able to do this entirely natively with Redpanda Connect today. And at this point, James can take over, take this data and context, and make our AI platform a little bit smarter.
All right, thank you very much, Dave. Now, we have our Redpanda topic. Our Redpanda topic is full of documents. What we're going to do now is we're going to take those documents, we're going to stream them through Redpanda Connect. We have a custom processor that's going to reach out to OpenAI and use the embeddings API to retrieve the vector embeddings for the text that Dave sent through. So that's going to enrich our documents as they're streaming through Redpanda Connect. And then we're going to output those to a vector database, which then Christina can use to build her context for sending the prompt. So just to open the configuration, as Brett said, I am a lazy developer. I haven't set up Studio here. I've just done the YAML. So we have our input, we have our Redpanda topic, we have our processor, which is our custom processor, super easy to build. I built this in Go. It's going to reach out to OpenAI and get our vector embeddings. And then once we've enriched the documents, we're going to output those to our vector DB. I've chosen to use MongoDB as the vector store. And the configuration is super simple here. So here's my Atlas configuration. Let's jump across to Atlas. Here's our collection. It's called Redpanda Embeddings. It's got 0 documents in it at the moment. But what I've done is I pre-created an index for vector search. So if we look at the index, we have the number of dimensions here. 1536 is the small vector size that OpenAI gives us. And we're looking for a path in our document called embedding, which is what we're going to add as part of our Redpanda Connect pipeline. So let's go ahead, flip back to the VM, and I'm going to start that process up. So now let's start Redpanda Connect with that configuration. This is then going to connect to our Redpanda topic. We're going to start streaming the documents that Dave's loaded into that topic through. Here we go. So as these documents are streaming, as I said, we're then using our processor to query the embeddings API. We're going to get back our embeddings, same size, obviously. So this is the small embeddings vector that OpenAI gives us. We're adding those to the documents. This is going to take a few minutes, so I'll flip back to Atlas, and then hopefully we've got some documents in here. So let's refresh. There we go, it's just loading. And voila, we have some documents in our vector store. We have our text, we have our metadata, so we know where the documents have come from. We have our embeddings now from OpenAI. So now I can hand back to Christina, and Christina can then use this context to resend the prompt to OpenAI, and let's hope we get a better answer from the model.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and then get started. What is Apple Intelligence? So hopefully this time it's going to get us a better answer by getting all this data information's input from Dave and James. Right, so now I can see it's transcribing and now it's sending over to the cluster, and you can see now I am getting a lot of informations back, and voila, I have Apple Intelligence answers back to me. Thank you so much. So what do you think, Alex and Ash?
Well done, everyone. I am personally cheering for my AI replacements.
I know it's kind of cool to see it live. What I say, I love seeing the Benthos Studio UI being used multiple times. I think like it's easy to see it because sometimes it's easy to get lost in the weeds. So that was pretty cool to kind of see it all come live. So neat. Thank you, Christina. Thank you, James, and obviously thank you, Dave. Very, very cool demo. I think I'm still new in the whole AI space, and it's great to to just learn from you all. With that, like I mentioned earlier, this is just quick sections to keep it energetic, this whole launch. And so I'd love to welcome to the Fireside chat Shahir Daya, the CTO at Zafin. Shahir, welcome on the screen. We've known each other for a while. I'm also going to ask Shubham and Eric to bring their video on, and then I'm going to introduce you in just a second. But Shahir, we'd love to start with you. We've known each other for a while. You know, before you were the CTO at Zafin, but maybe tell us why the integration of Redpanda Connect and Redpanda. What does it mean to you? Why is this useful?
Yeah, no, absolutely, Alex. And thank you for having me. It's a real pleasure to be on this call. Let me tell you just 2 seconds a bit about what Zafin does, right? So Zafin is a leading provider of product and pricing capability that we deliver as a SaaS product. And it's exclusively for the financial services industry. You know, so our platform and our domain expertise have been an integral part of every banking modernization initiative out there. Banks and credit unions all over the world basically leverage our technology to abstract away the product and pricing lifecycle management capabilities away from their core banking systems into a more agile, very innovative layer, and that's our product. Now, to integrate with Zafin is not that simple. We're dealing with core banking systems, some that have been around for 3-4 decades. So we have a product called Zafin IO, or Zafin Integrate and Orchestrate, and it's a technology platform that provides data integration capabilities to facilitate and accelerate this integration between the bank's core systems and the Zafin platform. And it basically serves as a real-time data integration layer, handles the coexistence of a legacy app and a more modern app. And Redpanda is a critical part of our Zafin IO platform. Okay, now at Zafin, we were already using Redpanda and Benthos separately. And having Benthos fully integrated into Redpanda means a great deal. Firstly, we're dealing with banks and we're dealing with core modernization at banks. And this, if you've been involved in one of those core modernization projects, it's a hairy, scary world. And this integration of Redpanda and Benthos brings significantly more simplicity to that world for us. And Redpanda is simple as, to begin with. And that's one of the reasons why I use Redpanda, because of its simplicity. But this is going to make things so much simpler for us. The developer experience, winning the hearts of the developers is so key in our world. To get great engineers to want to work on these things, the developer experience has been extremely, extremely important. The breadth of the connectivity options, like I said, when we're integrating with banks do a lot of things. They've got so many core systems, different integration mechanisms. It's, so having that breadth of connectivity options has been very, very important to us. And lastly, Redpanda support. I'm a big fan of the Redpanda support. The number of engineers I've met at Redpanda, and every time if I run into an issue, the help is immediate and the impact is immediate, and the issues get solved. So I'm excited about Redpanda support for all of the Benthos components as well. And day two operations, Alex, day two operations is so important to me. We're 24/7, very critical path of banks. If stuff is down, banks are impacted. People can't look up their balances, can't open accounts, all hell breaks loose. So that's what I'm most excited about.
Thank you. It's like talk about something mission critical. It's like if your stuff works, I can't get money out of my checking account. So it's lovely to have you here. Thank you. Would love to welcome Shubham Dal, who is a technical lead at ShareChat. Shubham, welcome. I know that you've been using, Benthos for a long time, and obviously, the Redpanda platform in BYOC setting, we've written an article together. What are you looking forward to the most as we integrate Benthos into the Redpanda ecosystem? Perhaps I gave a sneak preview when Ash was on stage just a few minutes ago. But yeah, we'd love to tell us, what are you looking forward to the most?
Yeah, so as you said, we have been using both Redpanda Connect, Benthos, and Redpanda for a long time. And in fact, the reason we started using Benthos was because it was so easy to start off with. So we had a lot of jobs written in Java and Node.js with some, I would say, business logic. And then Benthos is just one YAML and it works. And we started with that, and then we built some tooling around it to make it easier for us to deploy more Benthos jobs. And we went from 1 job to 10 jobs. And then we have other developers coming in who say, okay, this is a wonderful system. This is pretty amazing. Everyone is so happy looking at Benthos. So we kept on expanding. And then we also use, as I said, Redpanda a lot, because we are earlier on Google Pub Sub, which was a bit expensive. And then we had our in-house Kafka setup, which was also difficult to manage. So then, I would say Redpanda provides us a mix where it is very scalable and we don't have to manage things on our own. So what will help with it, how Benthos and Redpanda can connect, is that what I want is a vision where I would say I go to the Redpanda console, I type in some YAML and things just work. because that would be the golden vision, where you just write a YAML there and there's some topics being connected and things working. Like that would be amazing, like going to that state. And because like the interesting thing that I will also tell you is that like in ShareChat, it is not just like software engineers who use Benthos. A lot of data scientists who have also started using Benthos, and they feel very like natural working with it. And which is like because they don't have to learn about like what is Java, what is Spark, what is Flink, and all of those things. Like that's the beauty of Benthos. And I guess like with the integrations, it might be like even better for, let's say, your customers, I'd say.
Yeah, tell us maybe in like 20 seconds. Tell us, what does ShareChat do? I mean, I don't think most people on the call know or understand what ShareChat does. So maybe you can tell us, like, so contextualize your experience there with the company.
Yeah, I got so excited about Benthos that I forgot that I work for ShareChat. Yeah, so ShareChat is actually like India's largest homegrown social media company, and we have like immense MAU, like around like we have 2 apps which combined have around like 200 300 million monthly active users. So working at that scale, like Benthos has been helpful while working at, let's say, the smallest jobs to the largest jobs, like from 100 events per second to even like 10,000 100,000 events per second. So like you can see the scale that ShareChat operates at and how like something like Benthos helps us. Yeah.
I know, I loved it. I think last Christmas they're like, hey, we might get some spike, and it was like a 300% spike in load. It's great having you. With that, I'd love to welcome Eric, who's a solutions architect at Trace3. Eric, I know you're a systems integrator. What does it mean for your practice to have such a large set of connectors that on Redpanda that can connect to the Kafka API? Tell us a little bit more about what does this mean for you?
Sure. Thanks, Alex. So consulting with the Trace3 data and analytics team is not, handshakes and PowerPoints. Our job is to rapidly spike out prototypes on a typical extended sprint basis, and really demonstrate all of the moving parts for these data pipelines, and getting them as close to production ready in the process as possible. We're all on this team operations folks by trade, so we're very sensitive to the needs of the people getting that 3 a.m. phone call when things go sideways, right? So anything that shortens that iteration loop in development is a huge advantage between ease of deployment, streamlined troubleshooting. It all adds up, right? So the quicker we can turn around a functional capability that can easily be consumed by the operations teams and deployed is a pretty big advantage for us. So between connect at the edge with a lot of pre-baked connectors, blobling is obscenely powerful and what you can get away with in very few keystrokes with Redpanda core in the middle, like Ash said, for back pressure management, enforcing data contracts via schema registry. The integration of the two is something everyone has been doing on their own. And given that the majority of our clientele are in that Fortune 500 space, where you got to have an enterprise support contract, even though with the quality of the components we're talking about here, probably won't need it too much, but you just got to have it. So the combination of Benthos being in the Redpanda family now, and seeing how all of that continues to evolve, given that they've already got that common design philosophy. And now officially pulling in the same direction, even though they always were on their own, is something we're extremely excited and bullish to participate in. Our focus as consultants is we're technology agnostic, but we're highly opinionated about what we select to bring these solutions to our customer base. So yeah, very happy with our years of experience in the ecosystem, and now that you're under the same umbrella, can't wait to see where it goes from here. So thank you.
Thank you. It's great to see. when people had asked me like what was the early focus on Redpanda, for me it was just getting customers happy in production. Almost nothing else matters. It's like one thing that we need to do is people need to be happy and in production. And so thank you for the partnership. You're a big part of how we're able to help some of these larger companies. With that, I know that Christina is about to jump on the screen, and then right before we jump into the MA, there's going to be a quick poll, so multi option answer on the screen. And so with that, Christina, take it away.
Sounds good. So while we're starting this poll, we're gonna with this poll, we're gonna ask you about your experience with Redpanda. Let us know what your experience is, and then keep your question coming. I know we only have a very limited time for this AMA, but your voice more matters to us. So it's really important for you to let us know your thoughts. It doesn't have to be just questions. It can be any comments. It's good to hear your voice. So just keep them coming. If we don't address your question right now, we can always do a follow-up with you. So we get to you, so we can contact you and share your really good thoughts, and it might make into the features. You never know, right? So let's go ahead and get started with AMAs. And since we are almost running out of time, let's just go through. I'll try to get to one question per person, so we get a even round of chances. And I'm going to start with Ash. Ash, do you mind coming up on the camera? I would like to ask you a question. So while we're waiting for Ash, why don't I start with, since Shahar is already on the screen, so let's go first then. Shahar, always love to hear your thoughts. You've been an amazing customer with us, and your experience in the financial industry is incredible. So I just kind of wanted to ask you about this acquisition, especially with the financial world that you're immersed in. What do you see this acquisition can help in the financial industry?
Yeah, thanks, Christina. And yeah, see, in the financial services sector, the banks have been so focused on the front end, right? They've been very focused on the digital channels. They're focused on bringing differentiated experiences on online banking and mobile banking, the user experience. And they've kind of neglected the back end. But it's time to focus on the back end. And one of the big technological shifts in banking is to move from batch to real-time. So real-time data ingestion, real-time transformation of the data, real-time distribution of the data for decisioning, for reporting, for analytics. This is becoming a necessity in banking. So event-driven architectures, stream processing, complex event processing, it's all becoming very, very essential. And having a streaming platform that's simple to use, that's easy to operate on day two, that has a great developer experience, has these necessary capabilities of connectors and transforms and all seamlessly integrated together in a single platform, this is going to make life simple. So Redpanda Connect basically strengthens our Zafin IO platform offering, and we're helping banks solve some of the most difficult engineering problems in core banking modernization.
Wow. It's great. It's good to kind of, I think you kind of hit the point where you're taking the engineering, the complexity of that out, and then you can focus on solving the real financial problems right there, right? So I think
exactly
amazing answers there. So thank you. And I just want to circle back with Ash. So hi, Ash. It's good to have you back here. I kind of just wanted to ask you, it's been in my mind for a while, and somebody kind of just asked the same question. I think you're always this one-man person with some of the great contributors in the Benthos, project. It's great, but I just want to hear your thoughts on like an example of something that the Redpanda Connect project can do that wasn't able. I think you touched a little bit on it before, but just one example that you think is going to be amazing after this acquisition.
A good one is security. So back in the olden days, we were reactive when it came to security concerns. So if somebody found a vulnerability or there's vulnerabilities in our dependencies, those are things that we would have to be alerted on and then react to because we just didn't have the resources for setting up security products or having a security team, all that kind of stuff. And obviously that's completely changed now because Redpanda has a brilliant security team and they've got a bunch of tooling. So day one of the acquisition, as soon as all the projects came into the Redpanda family, we've suddenly got a whole vast swathe of security auditing going on now that we can be proactive about, which is something that lots of people have asked for consistently, and it's just not really been something that we were able to give anyone. So immediately that was a big relief for a lot of people. I'll give a couple of little things as well. So we obviously anybody writing documentation in the Benthos space you were a developer, essentially. You were building the things and then you were having to document the things, which means if you're writing guides and things like that, you're taking time away from building new features. That's not the case anymore because we have a documentation team and they're a fantastic documentation team. So now we can start moving work around and working on stuff at the same time. I could be building features while they're helping to build all the guides and documentation for it. So it's stuff like that. We've got actual teams for various things that we just couldn't have had before.
Wow, amazing. I think that is a good thing. Documentations always bring more users and people love good documentations. And I would like to ask questions to Shram, like, because you're a user of both Benthos and, also Redpanda, right? So I think you probably know the most painful thing that could happen as a developers, right? So what do you think about this acquisition?
So I think it's good to have both at the same place. As I said, the many nice things that it can enable, as I said, launching a Benthos job directly out of just write YAML and it launches. And there's another probably another point that might be very important is as shared with Benthos having a bigger team, Redpanda Connect having a bigger team. So there are one thing that has been lacking for a while, and I know that you guys have been working on it, has been the connectors with I would say batch data, or let's say so we are a GCP shop, so BigQuery, or let's say outside of it Snowflake and all those things. These things being better, and the connectivity between Redpanda and BigQuery or Redpanda and Snowflake being much better, because you have the resources to contribute, to look into these things, would be huge. I would say, because that is where the world is moving. Have all the data flow through all the things, and I'm pretty excited to see how it comes out.
Amazing. I think I also love to see all the features now being more complete over the ecosystems, and love to see what's coming up. So Brad, I would like to invite you into the camera if you can, and ask you a few questions about Snowflake. So you've been talking about Redpanda in the conferences, and we love to see all the works, kind of want to chat with you on in what way will Snowflake work with Redpanda or with other streaming technology that might be impacting what's coming up from Snowflake, since the introductions of Cortex AIs, or even what you had before the Snowflake machine learning. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, I think we've got a lot of stuff going right now. I think historically we were a data warehouse. Everything was dealt in batches. The industry definitely has changed quite a bit. It doesn't look like that anymore, right? Now everybody's working on streaming data. You've got, a lot of feature stores now getting developed on those things, like the demo was earlier, where there's data flowing. You need to be able to enrich that data during real time using machine learning models that are pre-trained. I think a lot of the stuff we talked about at Summit, and a lot of the work we're doing right now, is to make that ecosystem work well in Snowflake, right? And cutting those latencies down so people have this the streaming experience where data is flowing. They're getting close to real-time results from that, and then they can take actions based on that. And that's really where we're going. I think the streaming stuff we're working on right now, we're working on, we have a technology called dynamic tables. We have a feature store right now that basically can operate on these streams that are coming in from clients. Right now, those clients are often Kafka. Redpanda is fairly popular. And then we have that data flowing through our connector into Snowflake. And then we have downstream processing that uses some of our serverless compute or our warehouses to then operate on that, whether that's using machine learning models, whether that's talking to third-party APIs. A lot of that stuff is currently getting rolled out. customers can start building right now on those systems. We're pretty excited about it because I think it's allowing Snowflake to go after use cases we've never seen before, and there are ones that I think a lot of people don't think about Snowflake solving.
Amazing. I think, the world has been changing, like what you've said, and everybody's expecting information to be right at this instance, like real time. So I can kind of see now people are moving into that. I'm glad to see our partnership going. So hopefully we're going to see more people adopting our technologies and get the world going. So I'm going to save the best for last. Eric, I would like to bring you up here. Just one question, because you're super hands-on and you're trying to get everybody onto production. And right before production, one thing, the hardest part is testing, right? So what is the kind of the hardest part of, developing functional tests for, streaming pipeline pipelines in customers' environment, because you've been in a lot of customers, just kind of want to ask your thoughts.
Functional testing is fundamentally about validating all of the moving parts, working with each other in as close to a resemblance of production as possible, and so implying at some degree of scale. And when you think about in the context of the software development lifecycle, the ability to confidently stamp out a birth certificate for this, complex software system in a repeatable, automated fashion is really the goal. So the combinations of Redpanda Connect and then the brokers at the core, being able to quickly via the CI/CD pipeline stand it all up and validate end to end that it is in fact doing what you want it to do, and be able to say, okay, here were the parameters that it was stood up and tested at. Again, back to that concept of the birth certificate of the components involved. So it really streamlines that entire process. Very eager to continue integrating into the variety of CI/CD pipelines that we find in customer environments. Harness is increasingly popular as a commercial option, all the way down to your typical Bamboo and Jenkins and all that, and seamless integration with those environments. No matter where environment we walk into, being able to know confidently that we'll be able to stand up these functional tests is a big deal. So thanks for that.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's a lot. So I think I need to digest a little bit, because what you've covered is the whole set of technologies that have been used and a lot of concepts. So thank you for that. With that, I want to circle back to Alex and ask a final question for you. And you've seen our demos and all that, right? So why is this useful for AI workload? I mean, can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah. Thank you thank you everyone for joining too. With this, I'll answer and then we'll wrap up in about 30 seconds. So, we're like a big part of the thesis for partnering with Ash and bringing connectivity natively to a Redpanda platform that was like really easy to use. It was a single binary, sort of same core philosophies of making the developer successful in prod, with what I think is the best developer experience to date, was for bridging the gap with some of the larger organizations that we've talked about here on leveraging AI. So the problem that I see is that AI, like everyone is talking about AI and it's mostly in design documents and very few people are actually making dollars. Like, okay, you use this new technology. And I was like, what does this mean for the business? Like, how is this making you money? It's just like, what I mean? It's just additional expense for most. And where I see Redpanda Connect playing a crucial role, it's like what James Kinley showed today. I was like, hey, look, you have a stream. Tell Redpanda Connect this glue code that is undifferentiated, it's boring, it doesn't have any intellectual property value to your business, but the answer to it does help. And often before you send data to these models, you need to block it, you need to transform it, you need to change it from protobuf into a text so that you can, here's a legal document, summarize it. So for me, Connect is a fundamental way in which we're going to be able to accelerate the adoption of these things, so people actually go and, you know, make more money, increase their gross margins. Like at the end of the day, most companies that we serve are for-profit companies, and they're trying to do more with less. And I think it's my view that Redpanda Connect is an important tool for them to do more with less. And I just, with that, kind of wanted to wrap up, and I want to just go around the room and thank everyone for joining. Thank you, Shahir, for joining us. I'm going to go left to right on my screen. Thank you, James, for the demo of AI. Thank you, Christina, obviously, for being a wonderful host here. Thank you, Eric, for joining us. Love to see your experience. Obviously, Ash, the star of the show, and Shabam for partnering with Benthos and Redpanda for now many, many years. Obviously, Dave Utila for integrating the serverless platform with Amazon Lambda. Brad for the best demo, 800 megabits per second with Redpanda Connect, with Redpanda and Snowflake. So thank you, everyone. With that, I'd love to ask the audience, if you haven't tried it, type in on your Mac, brew install Redpanda and RPK Connect run. You'll be surprised. Thank you, everyone, for joining the live stream event. I hope everyone has a great day, and I appreciate all of you. Bye, everyone.